Hi there. My name is Rahaf Kobeissi. People call me Ray. And I'm here today to help you understand that man up is never the answer. 4 out of 5 people who die by suicide are men. My dad was one of them. And that's all he left me, an old picture and a prayer bead, at least in the material world. But in reality, he left me with a mission to make this world a safer place for men. Because if it had been a safe one back then, which is 11 years ago, my dad would have been able to come out and say, I'm not feeling okay. But unfortunately, it's still not the case. It's still not okay to not be okay. Our culture reinforces us to be doing well all the time. When someone asks, how are you doing? Instinctively, we respond with, I'm fine. It's good. All good. And it's our culture that's reinforcing that. We need to normalize not to be okay. We need to normalize having mental health conversations openly and freely, especially for men. Now, I know how it can be tricky to start a conversation with men about the emotional and mental challenges they might be facing, especially when we are living in a man up or get over it culture. While these barriers might be difficult to break down, you don't need to have special training to have an open conversation about mental health. So, here are some simple ways to support the men in your life. Be observant. Unlike physical health challenges, the mental health challenges are not always visible. While you might not know exactly what's going on with someone, but a change in mood or behavior is generally a good indicator of an underlying problem. So it doesn't really matter if you're well trained or not. You can always start the conversation by making an observation about something that has been different recently. You could say something like, hey, I noticed you seem a little more tired lately than usual. Is everything okay? Now, talking about mental health issues can be difficult and awkward for men. So you'll want to make the experience as comfortable and non-threatening as possible if you want the conversation to be productive. Intervention style conversations can be intimidating, and it can cause someone to just withdraw from the conversation altogether. So instead, engage with them during an activity that they can enjoy, like going for a walk. Ask twice. If you get brushed off, which you will, with responses like, I'm fine or I'm okay, make sure to ask twice and show that you are really, really interested. Many men feel like they couldn't or shouldn't ask for help. So it's easier for them to let the conversation slip away when the other person doesn't emphasize the question enough. So in this case, an effective way is to make sure you ask them the question twice. How are you? No, really, how are you? Now, engaging with men's vulnerabilities is not as easy as we want it to be. We as a community, we often speak of how men do not show up enough in their relationships and how women get frustrated because of it. That is the most common struggle that I see with my male clients. Their partners begin to demand more intimacy and connection, and the man shuts down and withdraws. Now, the problem with this narrative is that it puts all the pressure on the man. But what gets missed often is the partner's role in this. So, how to listen to your male loved one? We all know that for a man to share his softer and emotional side, he needs to make that decision on his own. And he will only make it when he feels safe and not judged. So demanding emotional conversations is only going to shut him down more. Many women believe that men do not want to connect, but in reality, they do, as much as women, if not more. The only difference is that they do it differently. So if a man is wired for independence, then first he usually needs more time and space before he can really open up. Allow him that space without any pressure. And when a man finally opens up, sometimes, only sometimes, all that he needs is for you to be fully present, listen actively, and hold the space for him. He doesn't need any solutions or interruptions. Now, I know it's unintentional, but what starts as a joke can end up hurting someone. So do your best to not belittle your man's feelings, even as a joke. Tell him that you appreciate his willingness to be open and vulnerable. Let him know how much courage it takes to share his feelings. It's our collective responsibility to raise awareness about men's mental health. It's our collective responsibility to make this world a safer place, not only for us, but also for the generations to come. I hope we all make it a priority to look out for those that we love in honor of those that we lost. I am dedicating today's event to my dad, who has always been my hero and inspiration, and to every man who is struggling with depression and dark thoughts on his own. You are not alone.